I'm doing great. I'm enjoying myself at FanFest, and I'm so excited to meet you finally in person. It's been a year since we were on the podcast itself, but now we get to hang out for a moment, and I really appreciate you and everything you're doing.
I know. And then, they're raffling that picture that Dennis had done of Frank, which is absolutely incredible.
It is incredible.
So I see people are buying a lot of the raffle tickets and everything. So I'm proud that he's still remembered. I mean, I always say to the fans that without the fans, we would not be having this event.
Very true, very true. And he's definitely remembered to this day, and he'll be remembered forever.
He certainly will. And for people like you that help it along, the family will thanks you.
Thank you very much. Barbara Goodish, make sure you follow Barbara Goodish. Any Bruiser Brody stuff you want signed or buy it from her. Message her on Facebook. That's right, Bruiser Brody. Check it out.
Check it out. Huss.
I'm hanging out with the winners right here, the backseat. What is going on? Look at you guys got all the gold.
I mean, this is just the start, but everything comes full circle for the Backseat Boys. Wrestling is now the Spanish announce team. You guys were the first to take a chance on the Backseat Boys, and now we solidified ourselves and closed the gap and broke the curse and became the first ever two-time Wrestling is Now Tag Team Champions.
That's right. Looking at the new Wrestling is Now Tag Team Champions, the new Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and still the JCW Tag Team Champions. What more could we possibly fucking ask for? More gold and competition. That being said, this is the era of the Backseat Boys. Stay tuned for more.
We challenge anybody to pull up and challenge us for these belts because they ain't going nowhere. They're staying with us in the backseat. Whoop whoop, much clown love.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations, the Backseat Boys.
How are you guys feeling? Good. I was like, don't leave Samira out. She's the first lady of social influence. The first lady? The first, and realistically the only. We're not accepting new clients at this time. Not at this time. But, how can we not be feeling? We are the new Titan Tag Team Champions. We finally won these belts that we've been chasing for 7 months now. Isn't that insane? 7 months? We're here.
You gotta keep
wait, we're here. Who isn't? Who wasn't here? A certain, is it a Caligula or something? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
His name is Shapes.
Well, it doesn't matter. So,
I just want to say that it was super rude of you to walk away from me earlier.
Talking to the New York State champion, you're going to have to pay up.
Do you take Kale?
Dude, goodbye.
Whipwreck, Cation, doesn't matter.
We'll see what happens, but it looks like we have a special guest. Get my earplugs on.
No. You was looking for Tina, and then you talk about people.
dominate tonight, all right? The Dirty Deeds, they got nothing.
We're now the new Starlet Champion. What's going on?
Hi, I am Fearless Princess, so why not team up?
All right, now just announced by Mr. Joel Maximo for February.
Finisher is called the Shadow Band, and I was like, that's kind of.
Hold on. Let me speak. Okay?
But today I got a very special guest. I got the great.
Man, I'm so excited. I forgot to hit the button. Welcome to an all new Beyond the Barricade. I'm your host, Papa Dank. It's been a week since I've been on the air. Not because I didn't want to, but because your boy, Papa Dank, has been busy working his shoot job. And I've been working day and night, but I'm free now, and I got some time, and let's do it. I'm excited to be back, and excited not only for tonight. It's my first episode back in a week, but on Tuesday next week, I have the second Owners Summit coming up with a whole bunch of new owners and some returning favorites. Look at that. Look at all the guests we have. WWP, KPW, or WWAW, Dynasty, Titan, TNR, Bree Combination, and of course Joe Kazana, who is part of the NWA Territories. He'll be on as well this coming Tuesday. But now let me bring to you my very special guest. I just learned, also a subscriber Just so everybody knows, if you're watching, make sure you're subscribing to All Things Papa Dank. The one, the only, Jeff Wilde.
Jeff Wilde, live in studio, coming through you from magic ones and zeros all over the internet.
Man, you're making me wild now.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. All right, we got some comments. What do we got in here? Christy Flores says, "Hey, Papa Dank, hi, how are you?" And a couple of tags there for other people. Good to see you back. Thank you, Robert. Glad to be back, and I've got Mr. Wild right here with me. I like that. I love that. Hey, Jeff and Dank, how are you? Man, let's talk about some stuff you got going on first. Well, first, let me know about this picture. What is this all about?
Well, that was a picture from my first singles match with Jack Parker Jr., and he asked me to point to where my mama was sitting in the audience. So without even thinking about it, I pointed to where she was sitting in the audience.
That is awesome. Did she have a good time?
She would have had a better time if the match went differently, but she had a good enough time at the live show.
Okay. Then we got this going on for you. World League Wrestling 25th anniversary. Camaro Jackson will be there against Superstar Steve
for the heavyweight championship. Absolutely.
Wow. I'm a belt guy, so I like that belt. Sean Logan versus Alex Taylor from the NWA at the Harley Race Wrestling Arena, man. How exciting is that to be part of such a legacy, right?
Oh, it's amazing to be a part of World League Wrestling in general. This is the house that Harley Race built, and we've been at it for 25 years, November 2nd, and we're really proud to partner with the NWA, and we're real excited about the show. I'm going to be in the Battle Royale, and I'm going to be in the same ring as the great Trevor Murdoch, and it's almost too much.
There's a lot going on that night. Let everybody know where they can get their tickets, though.
Get your tickets at harleyrace.com. Unfortunately, front row is sold out, but we've got plenty of general admission seats for you. $20, harleyrace.com.
You know why it's sold out? Because they slept on it. That's why you're sold out. But it's not sold out to come to the event.
Not sold out. You can still get yourself in the arena.
This is going to be a premier event. So make sure if you're in the area, get your tickets. And if for whatever reason your Wi-Fi is out or something, just show up and buy it at the door, right?
If we're not sold out, you could get.
If you're not sold out, right? I would try to find some Wi-Fi and get my ticket now, All right. There we go once again on November 9th. Woo! A lot of stuff going on at WLW, man.
Absolutely. This is a charity event we're putting on for the Green Ridge High School, I believe, Historical Society and Club.
Once again, Trevor Murdoch will be there as well.
In action.
In action against Superstar Steve. Good stuff, Jeff.
Absolutely. We're very excited about it. Unfortunately, I can't make the November 9th show because I am in a wedding. They want the wild man in their wedding.
Uh-oh. Is that going to be a wild wedding?
Every wedding I go to is going to be wild, baby.
It's going to be wild, baby. Woo! Hi, how are you? Man. All right, let's start off with, how did you fall in love with professional wrestling?
Well, I am an 80s baby, so I grew up on Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Coco Beware, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. It's still my favorite era of wrestling. Harley Race, obviously, and I my story back into professional wrestling starts with Peacock, and it starts with the show Yellowstone. My wife and I were watching Yellowstone, and in the free version of Peacock, you can watch the first couple seasons, and then we had to get Peacock Premium. And when you get Peacock Premium, you're in the WWE Network. And then you not only get access to the WWE, but every tape library that Vince McMahon bought. So I was watching a bunch of old Mid-South wrestling and really just getting into it. And I was at a party, and I'm from St. Charles, did not know about World League Wrestling. And my friend was like, right in Troy, Missouri, there's a wrestling academy and wrestling promotion. And so I went there, and it was my very first live event. And I was just instantly 9 years old again. And it was like 2 shows I went to, and I was like, I want to see if I can do this. So I started training to get in shape for it. And True Blue, I'm a World League Wrestling fan. It's the most wrestling that I watch of any other promotion. And I started training at the arena. I've been there about 20 months now, and I just love it. I am in a bunch of logical reasons, like, oh, it's a good hobby to keep me in shape. It'll be real fun for my son. He's 3 years old, but at the end of the day, I just love it, every minute of it.
All right, we got a question for you, but you already kind of answered it, Serena. What made you ultimately choose WLW? Because he loves it there.
Yeah, I met Leland, and I just really resonated to his character and integrity. He just seemed like a guy who was always going to shoot me straight, and he is. To this day, he is the first coach to ever yell at me. And I love that, because a coach that yells at you is a coach that cares about you and a coach that sees potential in you.
100%.
But he taught me how to jump. I was never very athletic in high school or college, even though I always kind of played sports, but I didn't know how to jump. I always jumped from my heels, which is wrong.
Is there a method to it? Like, let us know what the method is. And let me say hello to Herb Simmons. Hi, Herb. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Simmons.
Is WIW a sister to NWA? No, it's not a territory. I think that's what they're asking. If it's a territory.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe not. But
it's not.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. But we were learning how to do up and overs, and the way to practice them is you bounce off the bottom rope at first.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, so just jump off the bottom rope." And I'm trying to balance my heels on there, and he looks at me and he's like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm trying to jump off the rope." He's like, "Well, you jump off the balls of your feet." I'm like, "That's not how I jump." And he's like, and he just looked at me like I was messing with him. He just like gave me that stare, like, "Are you stupid?
Right.
Or are you about to crack a joke?" And I was like, "No, that's how I jump." And he's like, "Well, that's wrong."
Right.
So
well, that's wrong, Jeff.
I started jumping from the balls of my feet, and I can't jump out of the stadium, but I could jump a good 6 to 8 inches higher, and wrestling got a lot easier after that.
Yikes, man! That reminds me of Logan Paul was interviewing Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, work and then a shoot, and he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Are you messing with me?
Are you messing with me?"
Yeah, you messing with me, brother?
What's a shoot? Yeah,
what's a shoot? kind of the same situation for you.
It was a little bit, but yeah, it was it was a very eye-opening day, and I'm 38 years old, and a lot of the wrestlers in the academy are in their early to mid 20s, and one of my real good friends, Julian, he's 24 and just athletic out of his mind, and we'll do like warm-up drills, and I'll notice him looking at me to see if he beats me up off the mat. And I'm not going to lie to you, he usually beats me, but it's quite the honor that he just thinks I'm competition.
Well, that's great that he thinks your competition. This chat's going off. What's in the background, man? I'm really fascinated by the statues you got. Is that?
So my wife's the cool one in the family, not me. This is her gaming rig and setup. I'm more of an ink and paper kind of guy. But this is an Assassin's Creed figure.
Okay.
This one down here is too, and these are our Star Wars figurines in the middle here. Nice. Up there, you can't see it, but there's 3 P's in a pod, because her screen name is Sarah P. That's me. Follow her on Twitch.
Follow her on Twitch. Sarah P. That's me.
Yep. And then just kind of just miscellaneous stuff to dress up the office and make good background. And she was kind enough to let me use her whole setup, because I'm not good with technology.
Oh man, well, in these days you gotta be to be a wrestler.
I'm a very old man.
I'm older than you, man. I'm 50. 51.
Yeah, I'm like 38 going on 70. Coach always jokes with me because he's like, "What time do you go to bed at night?" I'm like, about 8:30.
8:30, yeah. That's pretty
That's
early, Jeff.
Yeah, that's no joke. I wake up about 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. If my son doesn't wake me up earlier, but everybody makes fun of me for it. But at 8:30, I'm even at wrestling school. About 7:45, we go 5 to 8. About 7:45, I'll start yawning. He's
Right.
like, "Are we keeping you up, old man?" I'm like, "Actually, you are."
What about if you're working a show? 10,
goodness.
11.
It's late. It's a late night for old Jeff Wilde.
Yikes.
See, I'm an early morning predator. I'm not a nocturnal predator.
Gotcha. But you're wild 24/7 though.
24/7, I'm wild. You don't want to step to the wild man no matter what time of day or night because he's ready anytime around the clock.
I love it. All right, Serena, what you got for us? If you could choose anyone from WLW to team up and anyone to have a match with, who would you choose?
Ooh, goodness.
She's stealing my thunder over here. But go ahead.
That's a hard question to answer because honestly, there's so many of them. I would really love to team up with Kamara Jackson. Comes to mind Moses the Deliverer, Raheem De La Suede, the Great Leland Race, Blade Lennox. I could
The
pretty
list
well
goes on.
I could pretty well name the entire roster except for Dysfunction.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Ready. What about anyone you would want to wrestle in the indie scene? Doesn't have to be at WLW.
Anyone I would want to wrestle like in the whole world?
Let's stick to United States.
Okay. Goodness. Active now
in the indies.
Oh, in the indies.
Yeah, it can't be anybody already signed because we want to focus on the independents.
Sure.
It's got to be someone.
Probably a name that comes to mind pretty quickly is Mike Outlaw. I really like Mike Outlaw. I really like the Warhorse, Jake Parnell. Camaro Jackson's up there. Camaro Jackson's very large in all the indies. Moses the Deliverer, it's so. It's you're really gonna paint me into a corner in wrestling knowledge because you can fill about 8 barges worth of wrestling knowledge that I don't know. But I am doing my best. I am learning. But yeah, those are the names that really come to mind. Be like when I'm not working, I'm spending time with my son, and then when I'm not doing that, I'm in training. So it's. It's gonna be like, hey, do you know this guy? I'm like, yeah. Sure.
No wonder you're tired by 7:30. Yikes! Poor Jeff over there. All right. Hobbies. So, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, I do enjoy pro wrestling.
Besides pro wrestling, do you collect any pigs?
Any pigs?
Figures.
Oh, I have a few.
I mean, you could collect pigs if that's what you like to do.
I collect pigs, like live pigs. They're about 200-300 at my basement. It's gotten to be a real problem.
I bet.
So my goodness, what do I do in my spare time? Typically I will hyper focus on whatever I'm into. I like historical European martial arts and weaponry. So whenever I go visit a city, I really dig going to the museums. I like swords, especially. I like history.
I like history too.
Yeah, political science, stuff like that. I would say are my hobbies.
What is the best historical place you visited? This is a first-time question. I've never asked this.
So my very favorite is Boston. And you're probably gonna hate that being from New York.
No.
So it's like when I went to Boston, I went on the Patriots Walk and I went to the Art Museum. And one of my favorite places in Boston was Warren's Tavern in Charlestown. I liked it because it was the first structure built after the British burned Charlestown, and it's one of the oldest bars in America. There's like 10-12 bars in America that claim to be the oldest bar in America, but I picked that one because George Washington drank there, and Paul
Wow.
Revere, and like I got to lean on the same post that they probably leaned on, and boy, it was a thrill. So far, Boston is my favorite historical place.
That's awesome. I think my favorite historical place I've been to has been Arlington. It's
Arlington, Virginia.
Quite a man. It was quite like a surreal moment, man. Like
Oh, I'm
being
sure.
there and seeing everything, and I'm like, man, I just get emotional because I'm a history guy, and just to be there with like presidents and that were buried there, and it's just probably the most memorable place I've ever been.
Absolutely, yeah. For one of the places in Boston I went to was Bunker Hill, and especially Breeds Hill, and I felt a real strong connection to it. And then I was in the U.S. Navy, and I went on the Constitution, and it was kind of funny because I was in my early 30s at the time. 18-year-old kid there who was a CB, and I was a CB, so I went up and talked to him. And I was like, how'd you get this duty? Because he was on the USS Constitution, which is the oldest commissioned naval vessel, and it's served by active duty naval personnel. And I'm like,
Wow.
you're 18 years old? Can I curse on this show?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, whose dick did you suck to get this duty? And he
That's
was like,
that's more of a statement than a curse. But I think the same thing in the wrestling business. Like, who the hell did you sleep with to do this?
yeah, and anyone out there in wrestling land, I am available for casting couch and for whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was a weird opportunity. It was very maturing moment for me because he was talking about war, and he was like, "Oh man, I really." That kind of dichotomy between old men and young men, especially old sailors and young sailors. He was like, I really hope the war breaks out in Syria. And like, I had this very sobering fatherly moment because like, I went to war in the hopes that no one else would. And I looked at him and I was like, you don't want no part of this. And I was like, believe me, boy, you don't even know what you're saying. And like, I was just like that when I was 21. It was just a strange mirrored moment in my life.
Right. Wow. Robert says he likes to go to Gettysburg. That's on my list to go. Gettysburg.
Yeah, I would love to go to Gettysburg.
I'd also love to go to Pearl Harbor.
Absolutely. Who's your favorite Civil War general, Mr. Papa Dink?
Ooh, man. I have to say Grant, not just because he took us home and won the Civil War, but he's just like a president too. But
hey, us home. Don't push your politics on me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally union side.
I mean, it like either way, it could have gone either way. To be honest with you,
absolutely. Yeah, it was.
We could all be wearing gray right now.
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, I'm glad it turned out that way. It was.
If there's a multiverse, there's actual Earth that U.S. That's great.
And then there's a historical parody documentary called CSA, Confederate States of America. It's like a fake documentary if the South won the war, and it's terrifying and funny at the same time. But yeah, I love Grant, and like the journalists always used to criticize Lincoln. It was like, oh, Grant's a drunk, and like. He was a string of generals that were all varying degrees of terrible before he finally got Grant.
But he was a smart drunk.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lincoln always said, well, if he's a drunk, I'm going to start sending cases of whiskey to my other generals.
So they can win the war, right?
They can win the war.
Oh, man. Serena doesn't want to talk to us about history, but she did say, Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls. I've been to Niagara Falls. Nice. It's nice.
Yeah, Grant holds the record for West Point of having the most demerits and still graduating to this day.
Really?
Absolutely. They were mirror opposites, Lee and Grant, because Lee was an exemplary student of everything, and Grant was a terrible student.
Wow. I mean, back then, West Point was the place to be if you were anybody who's anybody.
Yeah, if you were Army, you went to West Point. If you were Navy, you went to Annapolis, and there really weren't any other branches back then.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff. All right, let's go back into wrestling. Who would you like to see enter the WLW Over the Top Battle Royal?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'd love to see Jack Parker Jr. there so I can get my hands on him again.
Uh-oh. Did he cause you any problems, JPJ?
Yeah, he was my first singles match, and I unfortunately lost the match, and I lost it in pretty spectacular fashion. But I, I want my revenge. Nothing would make me happier than for the Wild Man to get his claws on JPJ Jr. I don't care if he outweighs me by almost 100 pounds. My rage will carry me through. And if you're out there, JPJ, you better be on the lookout for Jeff Wild.
Wow, JPJ on Jeff Wild's bad list. He's on my bad list too. You want to know why?
Why?
When I was in St. Louis in May, he was actually in the same building I was, and he saw me. He didn't even come up to me and say, "Hey, it's JPJ. What's up, buddy?"
Bum.
Can you believe that? You give him a message from Papa Nick. You tell him next time I'm in the same building as him, he better come see me.
Hey, what? I'm gonna give him the message right here. I'm gonna give him one of these right from Papa Dank.
But he better not try to challenge me for my 23-6 YouTube Heavyweight Championship. Just give him that message.
That is a beautiful belt. I saw that in some of your videos. I love it.
It is a beautiful. I gotta sleep with one eye open, especially for my dastardly son. I'll have to lock the door so he can't
How
get in.
old's your son?
Here. He's 21.
21. Awesome.
Yeah. Just checking, make sure he's not trying to barge in.
He puts the Papa in Papa Dink.
He does. Jack didn't see you. That was Jason. Oh, Jason, Jack. It's the same thing.
Same name.
Lee was an old man. Lee was old. Maybe
man.
he was senile. That's why he couldn't win the war.
Yeah, Lee's one of those very reluctant. What's funny about Confederate monuments is that after the war, they talked about putting up different monuments to the fallen Confederate soldiers. And Lee was one of the first ones to come out against it. And he was like, after a civil war and something that's terrible, we really don't need any reminders or scars from it. It's much better to just move forward and heal. So like, if anyone's out there that's for him, just know that Robert E. Lee was not.
People were like tuning in now and be like, what the hell?
What is it? Oh, it was a wrestling show.
I thought this was a wrestling show. They're talking about Grant and Lee and the Civil War. What's going on here?
Do you know which two presidents were professional wrestlers?
Oh, no, I did not even know that wrestlers were professional wrestlers. Who were they?
Two presidents.
Breaking news right here.
Well, one's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, it's Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. He didn't wrestle.
Yeah, he's an in-ring competitor, but he's in the celebrity ring of the Hall of Fame. But technically, he got paid to wrestle, which got paid to do something. But the other one is Abraham Lincoln.
Get out of here! Was he?
Like 299 and 1.
Wow, I didn't know. I'm gonna have to
absolutely. Yeah. If Serena wants a live fact check me, she can.
All right, Serena, you got an assignment, and yes, I know JPJ would break me in half. That's why I have to run away. Duh.
JPJ almost broke me in half.
All right, if you could go to any other country to train or wrestle, which country would that be? And I know you might not want to leave your wife behind, but sacrifices must be made, Mr. Wild.
I'd want to take her with me. Just one of the reasons is just because I'd love to go there is Austria. They
Austria.
Have
look at that. That's a first time response. Austria. Nobody's ever said that.
Hey, you know what? I just love to see it. It's like Germans with culture. See, I'm from the German side without culture. They're the Germans with culture. And, both wars were kind of their fault. Austria-Hungary Empire and, Hitler was also from Austria. But they never get the blame that Germany does. And I'm German. And, so it's a little bit of a sore. But love the country of Austria. Would love to visit Vienna. Would love to visit Munich as well. Both at the top of my list.
Wow.
But, yeah, Germany, Austria area.
A lot of first things happening tonight, Jeff. We're creating some moments here. History, Austria. What's next?
I don't know.
Lincoln was a state champion. Okay, Mark, thank you. We booed him off the stage at the Hall of Fame.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying he was a professional wrestler.
Right. That's all he's saying, Robert. Settle down.
Not taking him. Hey, don't push your politics on me, pal.
Hold on. Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler. He's actually in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Oh, look at that. Wow. And I'm so impressed by Abe Lincoln now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was a big, wiry dude. Like,
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to shoot wrestle him or fight him. No,
not
no,
not
no
many
how.
pictures of him either.
No, no, and like it's also like there was like one guy in his National Guard unit that beat him, and like that was the only one.
That's crazy.
'Cause he was just real long and real strong.
That's awesome, man. I love this conversation. This is like the best conversation I've had.
I'm loving it too.
We're talking about the president being wrestlers, history, which I love history. I watch History Channel. I don't know if you do as well, but
Yeah,
I always watch it.
absolutely.
What is your best History Channel show? That's another first time question. And then we'll get back to wrestling, I promise.
Definitely Forge and Fire.
Okay. I
Yeah,
thought you were going to say Pawn Stars or something.
I like Pawn Stars too, just because like you get like these little tidbits of history, like a per item history on Pawn Stars. But like I love the science behind Forge and Fire, and eventually for my retirement job, I don't ever plan on retiring, but old Jeff Wilde wants to become a bladesmith. I'm gonna make a forge in my backyard.
Okay. Have you ever made any blades?
No, I've never done it, but that's kind of my style. I just kind of jump into things.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to say my favorite show, and you're going to be like, what? Ancient Aliens.
Aliens. Wait, hold on. Aliens.
Aliens. That's right.
See, I love Ancient Aliens too, because like there's
whoever doesn't watch the show won't get it.
Well, there's just so much speculative history, which is always super fun. But like, I just really resent like this attitude of historians is that the ancients were kind of dumb, and that's been kind of getting turned on its head. Like, yeah, one of the worst things I hate is when like some historian puts on a suit of armor that was never built for them. They're like, "Oh, how could anyone move in this? They were just lumbering tanks," which was absolutely not true. Like suits of armor were the pinnacle of military technology. They were equivalent of a fighter jet today in cost. And like people that have them built for them, they do pull-ups in them, they do cartwheels in them, they can sprint, they can do push-ups in them. Like it was a true work of art. But yeah, I love ancient aliens. I just love speculative history of stuff we don't know about.
Man, history and aliens, all first time topics tonight. Now let me ask you a question about we haven't even gone into wrestling that much. Do you actually believe that alien life exists?
I think it's a near certainty, but I don't think that. So, well, we're gonna go deep here.
Let's go deep. There's no other way to go, Jeff.
I'm a definite believer in God, and I'm a Christian. But I do believe there is life on other planets, and I can actually prove this from the original text of the Greek language in the Bible. When John 3:16, for God so loved the world word world in the Greek is actually cosmos, which was their word for the world, the heavens, and the entire universe. So it includes everything. And just like when we discovered the new world, it was a whole new mission field. When we discover life on other planets, if we can ever get there, it'll just be a whole new mission field. But I think it's a near certainty that there's life in some way out in the universe. Mostly, so I actually did the math on this one time. So I took the amount of galaxies, amount of stars per galaxy, planets per star. I multiplied them all together, and then I made what we like to call in my industry a swag, a scientific wild ass guess. That I can't remember the whole numbers. We're in the quadrillions of planets out there, but I think that the odds of a life supporting universe are about the odds of winning a multi-state lottery twice in a row. So I calculated all those odds, and I actually came up with a number between 15 and 20,000 as my estimate, is how many planets I think have life in some form. Now, whether that's a microbe or full on just like us or even more advanced than us. But yeah, I think it's a near mathematical certainty, actually.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to ask you, I'm going to get shit for this, but How is it that there are pyramids all over the world in a time where people didn't communicate with each other?
Well, I actually think they did communicate with each other. It's one of the things that personally I think that they were circumnavigating the globe a lot earlier than we think.
Okay.
Well, and one of the things we have some evidence for it, it's all speculative evidence, but maps, the very first maps we had, some of them show Antarctica. Antarctica wasn't actually discovered until the mid 1800s, like actually modern
I
history.
know what you're talking about. There is a map of the whole world without Antarctica having the ice there.
Yeah, and like so like if you believe in evolution, anthropologists will or biologists will say that human beings have been operating in our present state at about our same brain capacity for 100 200,000 years. But we only have about 7,000 years of recorded history. It only goes back to about 5,000 BC. So you would have me believe that it wasn't until 7,000 years ago that we put together farming or reading and writing or stuff like that. Now, I actually think that we experienced a near extinction during the Younger Dryas period about 12,000 years ago, and society actually came back. And a lot of stuff, you can see that the ancient Egyptians, like the Sphinx, for example, was ancient to them. They didn't really know where it came from.
Right.
And there's evidence of long-term water erosion of the Sphinx that we haven't had long-term or regular rainfall in Egypt that would cause that for about 12,000 years. So, and then there's also just many explorers. So I actually think that people were circumnavigating the globe a lot earlier than we think. And I think that's probably where we get it. But again, could be aliens.
All right, we're gonna get back to wrestling, man.
Okay, sorry. If you pull my string, I'll just start talking.
I kept bringing it up. I'm fascinated by it. Don't get me
cut
wrong.
Me off anytime you want. Just give me a signal. I'll shut up. I promise.
Man, we could have been talking for another half hour on this topic, man, at least. Let's go into, what about your favorite TV show? If you have one, you might not have one.
I mean, favorite TV show like of all time. I guess I'd say Seinfeld, to be honest.
Seinfeld's a good one.
I love sitcoms. I was a strange kid. I watched Nick at Night a lot. I loved Roseanne. I love the Newhart show as a little kid. Mary Tyler Moore show, like Cheers.
I love Cheers. Cheers is best.
I guess non-sitcom is Star Trek. I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Oh, we're going back to aliens again. But I like Star Trek too.
Who's your favorite Star Trek captain?
My favorite has to be Picard.
Okay.
I kind of grew up with Picard.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Me and my parents watched it week to week, brand new, like back in the dark ages.
Yeah. What about yours? Who's your favorite?
Ben Sisko, Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space. Oh man, that was a great show too.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, and about as dark as I like Star Trek to get, because I like main reason I like Star Trek is because it's a hopeful view of the future instead of a dystopian.
Right.
Which is, my hope for it. My hope we don't get to dystopia. But I like Ben Sisko. He's one of the best examples of how actual warriors interact in their personal lives, because like he is this very fierce enemy, but when he interacts with his son is this loving, doting father, which like all the men that I knew in the military, and I'm not one of them, all the men that I knew in the military that actually killed people, that actually were in combat, they're these this weird dichotomy of a flip that gets switched, where they're the consummate warrior that you wouldn't want to face, but when they're at home, they're so in tune with their families and they're so loving and affectionate. And I really like that portrayal of Ben Sisko because of it.
Okay. It's a good show. I used to watch that religiously too. I was sad when it ended too.
Yeah. It's one of those shows, like they were in the groove of every Star Trek show gets 7 seasons, because Next Gen got 7, Deep Space Nine got 7, and Voyager got 7. But I think Deep Space Nine could have gone 3 more easily.
I think so too. Good stuff, man. All right. Anybody want to talk more history? No, I'm joking. All right, let's talk about wrestling federations. If you could work for any independent company that you haven't worked for, which one would it be and why?
I would love to wrestle for SICW someday.
There you go, Herb.
Herb, if you're out there and you want the Wild Man, you got him. I am not good in the ring nor on the mic. So just be aware of those two things.
What? It's
I'm
like the
trying my
whole
best.
thing.
Well, that's
the whole package.
Well, that's not good then.
I don't know.
I'm what's known as a double non-threat in the wrestling community.
That's not a good sell.
Hey, well, I'm getting better. I promise to get better.
Yikes. All right, Herb. If you want someone who can't wrestle, can't talk, Jeff's your guy.
It's one of those things like
Oh, man.
when I had my first match, I asked all the other wrestlers, I was like, well, how do you think it went? And they were like, for your first match, really well. And I was like, well, thanks. And then I watched the video and I just hated it. It's like, I just watched myself on screen. I was like, oh, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. So I'm real hard on myself, but I use that to put gas in my tank and make myself better. So that's just the way I look at it.
I think I'm kind of the same way because I watch some of my stuff back and I'm the same way. I'm thinking, I'm like, man, what can I do differently? What's this? What's that? Blah, blah. And you just run these thoughts in your head.
Well,
right?
For what it's worth, Papa Dank, I think you're great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That does mean a lot. And how much more I could do this? I'm 51, man. How much more can I possibly do this for?
Hey, you know what? You can do anything you put your mind to.
100%. That is right. And gosh darn it, I'm not giving up.
That's right.
No matter how much money I spend doing this.
It is impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit.
That's right. I will go broke and live on the street before I stop.
Hey, listen, you'll never be great at anything unless you dare to suck at it first. That's right. Jeff Wild motto. Sorry.
Oh man, Jeff, this is a great conversation. You have to come back.
I'm loving it. It's a real honor to be here. I was so excited to get asked on. This is my first time on any podcast, and I'm really grateful to be here.
Wow, first time guest as well.
Hey,
a lot of press going on tonight, Jeff.
I cannot say thank you enough for having me on the show in general. I know it's not the end of the show, and I probably should have said at the beginning, but just really jazzed to be here.
I think it's the end, Jeff. I think it's the end of the show. I got one more question for you.
Oh, shoot.
Where do you see yourself in 6 months?
Where do I see myself in 6 months? Hopefully alive, well, and
hopefully at SICW.
SICW, but I love wrestling for World League Wrestling, and I hope to continue to be wrestling. I believe every day is a gift. Every time I step in the ring, I am super grateful for it, whether it's in training or a match. And I would be very excited to be going in wrestling and to be 39 years old wrestling. So I want to be wrestling. I want to be leaps and bounds better than what I am now. And yeah, just still doing it. That's where I see myself in 6 months.
Awesome. Now, make sure everybody follows Mr. Jeff Wilde. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Very much so. I really enjoyed it.
We had a lot to talk about. Not necessarily a lot about wrestling, but we did talk about other stuff.
Hey, we can always get to wrestling next time.
That's true. But you can catch Jeff at WLW's live event on November 9th. Well, not November 9th, but make sure you get your tickets for November 9th.
November 9th, go to Green Ridge High School. November 2nd, the Wild Man will be in action in the Battle Royale. And look out, world.
The Battle Royale. I can't wait for this, man. Hopefully you can stream it so I can watch it somewhere.
Yeah, we do tape it. We're super professional, so that we tape it there. We do not broadcast live as of yet, but we have to edit and get it out there. But World League Wrestling YouTube station, World League Wrestling on Facebook, all great things to follow. Yes. Absolutely.
Definitely follow World League Wrestling. But we got a bonus question now, boy. From Serena. Who do you think would win a match between Trevor Murdoch versus Leland?
Oh, goodness. Serena's trying to get me fired.
Serena, don't try to get our Jets fired. We're supposed to get more bookings, Serena. More bookings.
I believe the winner of that match would be the fans.
There you go.
You middle of the road son of a bitch.
The fans win the
The
ultimate.
fans would definitely be the winners of that match.
All right, now I know I've been out of it for a week, so I haven't really updated a lot of things on my feed. But we got the Owner Summit coming up on Tuesday, and if you want to talk about NWA, the one and only Joe Kazana will be on for the JCP Productions, the NWA territory. Kaiju Pro Wrestling will be on as well. Our first female guest of the Owner Summit, as well as WAW, We Are Wrestling, TNR, Titan, Dynasty, Wrestling with Pride, and Bree Combination Wrestling. Check that out on Tuesday. And coming up is the one and only Leva Bates on Friday, November 8th at 6:15 standard EST time. Brought to you by DNS Wrestling Collectibles. Make sure you check them out on Instagram for all your wrestling collectibles need. They are a proud supporter of our podcast, and they got some great figs that, I happened to pick up a Chase Cody Rhodes at Stardust.
Nice.
Which I was very excited
I
about.
think Stardust was a great gimmick. I think we should bring it back.
Cody doesn't want. Cody doesn't. Don't say that to Cody Rhodes. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's a good gimmick. It's a fun gimmick. It's just...
Now my latest vlog is up. Till Dan collapses. As you can see, Jermaine Mulberry is there. Very excited to see me. And I have 2 vlogs coming out, which I have to finish editing because, I've been working a lot, so I haven't had time to edit it. So be on the lookout for that. Dank Intentions is the next one coming out, so be on the lookout for that. I also have a big event coming up with my guests, Brittany Brooks, PJ Savage, Amity LeVay, Tiffany Avatar, Frankie Picard. This is brought to you by me and Titan Championship Wrestling. Big event, November 9th. Get your tickets. Come down to the table and say hello. And also, if you got some graphic needs, hit up my graphic guy right there, official sponsor. Pickway Design, the one and only Mr. Devin. Hit him up, 631-832-7720, or email him at info@pickwaydesign.com. He's worked on the Islanders website and my website as well, papadank.com. Make sure you check out papadank.com and subscribe to all your Papa Dank channels. That's a lot to say, Jeff. I need a break.
Hey, you got to make the sponsors happy. Absolutely. They're the ones that put you on here.
That's right. They help me, get graphics, guests, stuff like that. It's not necessarily monetary because there's no money in podcasting. Just so you know, everybody, be like, oh, you gotta pay us. And sometimes, there's no money. I spend more money than I probably make like nothing. Actually, I do make nothing.
I believe that, this experience is the treasure we sought all along.
That
the friendship we made was the real prize.
You know what? I believe that the friendship I have made with you now and everyone else that I met in this business, quite worth it, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love just talking to different people, getting their perspective on things. And yeah, found another history buff in the wrestling world. It was great.
100%. Also, make sure you check out my good pal, DNS Wrestling Collectibles, Coach David 73. If you're looking for a fig, contact him. He will find you a fig that you want. And what I got over here? What did I just pick up recently? I got this. Look at this. I'm going to show you 2 things before we go. Okay. Signed Drew McIntyre Funko
beautiful.
Pop. I'm a big Funko guy. And you might like this one, actually. It is the Holiday NECA Chucky. Look at that.
Oh, wonderful.
Santa hat, Chucky. Liv Morgan. Did you know that?
What? I'm sorry.
He killed Liv Morgan on one of the episodes of the show.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I really like all the Child's Play movies. They were a staple of my childhood. I was allowed to watch way too many things as a child, and it made me the man I am today.
Me too. Me too.
I always liked Chucky, but he never really scared me. I'm like, if you just get out to open ground, you could punt this little guy.
That's right. Just kick him. He's done. He's done. Jeff, thank you for coming on the podcast. You have to return.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, hold on. Do I have a Dusty Rhodes? I have a Dusty Rhodes Funko Pop, yes. There's only one Dusty Rhodes Funko Pop. I need a Dusty Rhodes, like a really good, Ultimate figure, which I heard the rumor is it's coming out through Target. So everybody be on the lookout for that. Everybody have a great night. Jeff, hold on for a minute. I will be back on Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, I am partying it up at a Halloween party. I will be Bane from Batman.
Awesome.
Everybody have a good night. Follow Jeff, please.